If you want to play D1 basketball, watch this video. What's good, guys? My name's EJ. A little bit about me. 4-year varsity basketball player. Was recruited to play at all these programs, various D2, D3 programs. Had a ton of D3 offers. You know, I like to joke around that I was a D3 All-American just because of how many D3 offers I had out of high school. But I had some D2 interests, D3 offers. In high school, you know, competed at state playoffs a bunch of times, won section league titles. AAU, I played for Gayer Payton's AAU team where I played with a bunch and competed with a bunch of D1 guys. And then I also played for the Oakland Soldiers, but I played my actual AAU season with the Silicon Valley Soldiers. So I played with the Oakland Soldiers a little bit in a couple tourneys and stuff like that, but Silicon Valley Soldiers, that was my, that's where I played my actual AAU season. And I played with a couple mid-major D1 guys there. And then competing, I played against a ton of mid-major D1 guys, you know, within that season. So, and then also more recently, the past 2 years, I've been trained to walk on to play Division I basketball. You know, right now, I kind of class myself as a practice player just because I'm a manager, but I'm a little more involved in basketball activities. You know, I'll kind of run some drills. I'll be active, you know, competitor in some drills. You know, I'm just a little more hands-on basketball-wise. So I just like to frame it as being a practice player, you know what I mean? But, you know, for those 2 straight years, I was working and training with the team, training with the D1 guys, you know, practicing after practice, getting shots up, or even competing with them in 3-on-3, 5-on-5, you know, in the summer times and stuff like that. So honestly, over the course of these couple of years and like everything I've learned, you know, over the course of my basketball experiences, I have a clear map of how any player can reach Division I basketball, literally. Quite literally any one player. We can literally start right here. Now, look here. There are 3 types of players who reach Division I basketball. 3 types of players. Number 1, we're gonna start. Number 1, if I could spell, yep. Outliers. These are the top 100 kids in the country. These are the Zions, the Rob Dillinghams, the Aaron Gordons, you know, your Cooper Flags. These are the outliers. You know, they're the 7-foot guys. They're the guys who are 6'5" with a 42-inch vert. You know what I mean? These guys are able to just go D1 off, first of all, their basketball ability paired with their extremely rare physical gifts. So these top 100 guys in the country, they're a shoo-in for Division I basketball. You know, these are the high major guys essentially. You know, I call any high major guy, you know, coming out of high school, I'm gonna pretty much put them in that outlier category. But now we get into like the more meat of things, where most players kind of lie within kind of just high school basketball. Number 2, and I'll say contributors. Contributors. Number 2. Now, this is a very big part of D1 basketball coming from high school. A lot of guys are just contributors on good programs or good teams that just produce good basketball. These are gonna be your top 25, top 50, maybe stretching it, top 60, you know, 75 basketball teams in your state. Honestly, it's really top 25, top 50. But these are programs and basketball teams where they're always competing in the state playoffs. You know, they're always gonna have good records. They're usually in a competitive league where it's a bunch of other top teams. You know, maybe every 2 years they'll have a D1 guy. Every 3 to 4 years they'll have a D1 guy. You know, you're not elite programs, but good programs. You know, they'll have a bunch of kids go D1, or not D1, but D2, D3. They'll have a couple guys go D1. Everybody's a capable college level trajectory. Everybody's on a capable college level trajectory. For example, in the Bay Area, you can think of this as like a midi basketball, you know, Archbishop midi basketball. You know, of a Reardon, or even if you think of like a public school. Honestly, I would put Christopher even in that category, you know, maybe even lesser so, but they're just good basketball programs. They'll win a lot and they'll produce good talent, okay? And then you can go D1 from just being a contributor. If you're on a really solid basketball team where you're playing against elite competition in high school, you know what I mean? You can go D1. I mean, these are guys also, you know, if we're also relating it back to AAU, these are guys who are playing for top AAU, not even top AAU teams, just EYBL teams. You know, they're playing for top circuit teams. You know, EYBL, you know, Under Armour. You know, usually within this subset of guys, these guys are playing against really good guys. And if you can show the coaches that you can play against other college comparable level guys within high school, they'll send you that D1 offer. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's not uncommon to be like a 7th, 8th man on a decent EYBL squad, and you'll go D1 because, you know, maybe you played good against a couple teams in, you know, how they call it, is it phases, in the different phases or sessions, in whatever session, maybe in session 2, session 1, you had a string of good games, you'll get an offer from there. So a lot of guys go D1 from just being decent contributors. Okay, now number 3, where a majority of y'all lie, a majority of high school players lie with it, number 3. We're gonna call it the average to bad. Average / bad. All right, now, a lot of you guys are on average or just plain bad high school basketball teams. You guys probably don't have, you guys in this state, you know, number 3, we'll say that, you know, you guys don't really produce any college level players. You know, you guys will probably have losing records. It'll be rare for you to win league. It'll be a lucky year, you know, for you guys to win league. Or maybe you guys win some games, you know what I mean? You usually get blown out by guys who have, you know, decent talent, you know, guys who are maybe going D2, D3 on the other team. You get smoked, you know, by guys who are, if they have a couple guys that are D1, you get smoked by them. A lot of you guys are on teams just like this. And believe it or not, you can genuinely go Division I. You can play Division I basketball if you're within this category. And I'm gonna go into detail how you can play Division I basketball from 2 and 3, because this is really the most realistic way for most players. I would say, honestly, the bottom 90% of basketball players out of high school can play Division I basketball. Okay. Just for order's sake, I'm gonna start with number 2. Okay. Contributors. As I said before, if you want to play D1 basketball, this might be the easiest route, honestly. It's not easy per se, but it's the most, I feel like it's all simple, but it's the easiest route relative to, I guess, steps you have to take. Okay. First of all, you're going to have the skills to actually play on an elite team to be able to contribute. So that's baseline, obviously. You're not just going to go D1 just because you're on a good team. You know, just because you're the 13th or 15th man on a maybe like the 20th best, you know, high school basketball team in your state, you're going to go D1. That's not going to happen, honestly. You have to be a solid contributor with real skills that coaches can evaluate and see for them to be like, okay, let me throw this guy a bone. Let me throw him an offer, because he can contribute at an elite high school level, playing against other competitive guys that are going on to play D1 basketball, going on to play D2 basketball. Okay, he could probably come here and do something for my program. So from number 2, I'm gonna write right here. Let me just put an arrow. From number 2, we're gonna have the skills to at least be able to contribute to winning basketball at a high level in high school basketball. And high level, I mean top 50 basketball team in the state, a EYBL, Under Armour. So have skills. Have skills. It sounds simple, but it's true. You really need to have the skills, so you really need to work hard. You're not gonna get on an EYBL team if you don't have the skills. You have to show it. You know, I don't want to talk about physical aspects because that'll vary for every person, but every person needs to be skilled to play on an EYBL on an Under Armour. That's 100% for sure. Okay, have the skills. Another thing now, let's say you have the skills. Now you have to get on, let's say if your high school team really isn't that good, you know, it's really hard for one person to change a program. Do everything in your power to try and get on just the best AAU team you can in your area. It doesn't have to be even to be an EYBL or an Under Armour. There's guys in, you know, Made Hoops. There's teams in Made Hoops who are really good, you know, and there are teams there who sometimes have D1 talent. So maybe if you're like in the Bay Area, I can compare it to like a Lake Show. You know, Lake Show, I don't think they play in any, you know, I don't know, maybe they play Adidas Gauntlet now. But, you know, Lake Show, you know, for a couple of years, they've had a bunch. They always had a really, you know, good group of guys. They would have, it wouldn't be uncommon for them to have a D1 guy. And they're a good program. So just get on the best AU program you can, because usually those best AU programs have the most resources, and you'll be in front of the most coaches. So have the skills. Next, get on good program. Make sure that program, there's a D1 player coming out of it every couple of years, you know, or every year, at least one, or somebody going at least D2 plus, okay? It gives you a better chance to go D1 from there. If you're on a good high school team, bro, if you're already on a high school team that's good and you're in your top 15 in your state, you have the platform to play very high level basketball. Do everything in your power to work on your skills and contribute in a way where you can collect clips and kind of show coaches, you know, on Twitter, online, and market yourself a lot better than you actually are. You know, be like, okay, look, my team is 40th ranked in the state. We were on a 10-game winning streak. I just had a 20-point per game performance. Look at this. I've literally seen players get offers like this. They're not even the top 6, 7, 8th guy on their team. They had one good game, one good tournament against a couple other good schools, and they got offers. You can do this. Like, this is a real way to go D1. The thing is, you have to have the skills to do it, though. Very, very important. So all in all, from this, contributors, you have to have the skills, have the skill set, and then get on a good program. Get on a good program and be able to contribute. If you're get on a good program, you know, if you're not already, but get on a good program and be able to contribute. Okay, now this is a majority of players. Number 3, this is the average to bad. And let me give you the reality right now. This is a little hard. This is obviously the hardest step, you know, between these two. I would say the least amount of D1 players come from average to bad high school basketball teams, because, you know, if you're on an average to bad high school basketball team, that means your program isn't really focused on basketball. You're not in the basketball area. So you have to do everything in your power to either dominate or just get to number 2. Because number 2 is the easiest way to go D1. If you surround yourself around D1 players and you're competing against these guys, you're not going to end up down here. You're going to end up somewhere here. Even if it's not D1, it'll be D2, you know, even D3, high level D3 plus. Playing in these circuits is very important. Playing on high level basketball teams is very important. It is very hard, you know, to maybe come from the slums and try to become a rich man, if I can compare it to real life. But, you know, if you are, you know, if you're able to kind of, I don't know how I can even compare it. Let's not get like too economic here. But I mean, if you're able to go, it's easier to go from middle class to rich than it is to go from poor to rich, right? This is essentially the basketball version of this. So, okay, but let's say you can't change teams. Let's say you're still stuck on your same average and bad high school basketball team or AAU team, whatever. You can still go D1. But here's the reality. Number 3. You have to dominate. Okay, let's put dominate. That's the first thing, dominate. You need to be unequivocally the best player, you know, in that area. You have to be all-state. You have to be league MVP. You have to average, this is for you if you're on a bad team, 20 plus points per game, you know, however much is a lot for your area. You have to show unequivocally that you are the best person in that area. Coaches will look at that. If you're one of the best 5 guys in your entire area, coaches will just flock to you just because of that, because you'll be an outlier within your own subset of people. So you have to dominate. You can go D1 from this route. A little harder. You know, you really have to have the skill set. You have to drive the hunger, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. Another thing, after domination, if you're on an average team, let's say you're on an average team, you don't have to dominate per se, but you do really have to show that you're skillful and then be obviously the best player. You know, you're gonna have to win a couple, maybe a league MVP or 2. You know, I don't think a league MVP at an average team is super required, depending on your physical traits. But I would honestly say the shorter you are, the more accolades you're gonna have to kind of accumulate at an average to like bad level. But all in all, I'll just say you don't really have to dominate per se, like 25 plus points per game, 30 points per game. But you have to be very good and you have to be scoring very well. You have to be scoring in a way where it's super skillful. At this point now, you know, at an average team, if you're kind of averaging like 15 to 20 points, you know, you're trying to get into that like D2, D1 walk-on radar. You know, it's possible to go D1 from there. But yeah, really, all in all, you have to really show that you're one of the best in the area if you're on the average team. So from here, we'll just be like, instead of dominate, just do really well. Do really, and we'll emphasize it, do really, really well. All right. If you could take one thing from this video, understand that D1 basketball players, at least from the high school level, come from really good programs and really good teams, and guys who are dominating or contributing and doing really well on the average or bad level that they're at. If you can get to one of these spots, I wouldn't say you're very guaranteed to play D1, but if you put in the work, you have a very good chance of going D1. As I said earlier in my kind of analogy, it's easier to go from middle class to rich than from poor to rich. But if you're in a poor area and you have, at least in the basketball sense, in a basketball poor area, but you know, you're presenting yourself as like, you know, one of like the best in that area, you can go from here to here. I mean, not to outlier, but you can go from here to D1, okay? If you're a contributor, you know, at a middle class kind of basketball route, you can go from there to D1 very easily. So just, follow these paths. Just keep this in mind, if you're working on your skills and just trying to reach the Division 1 level. But yeah, just keep those things in mind.